Hello there, and welcome to the Fish Tank Barn. Today I'd like to talk to you about my favorite goodeids species for beginners, and that's the Chapalichthys pardalis, or polka-dot splitfin. While this is not the most colorful goodeids species in the hobby, I do find the polka-dot markings on this fish quite enjoyable. So let's go ahead and explore more about this fish and learn more about its care and breeding. The polka-dot splitfin is native to the state of Michoacan in Mexico and has historically been found in two separate locations. The first being the Ojo de Agua de Tecumbo, or designated by ESU Chapa 1, and the second being the Presa de San Juanico, or designated Chapa 2. For those that are unfamiliar, ESU stands for Evolutionary Significant Unit, which is used to denote isolated genetic populations within one species. In the 1970s, the habitat for the fish from Chapa 1 was turned into a swimming area and it was modified to include a concrete pool. It's unknown at this time whether more of these fish from this population exist in the wild. The fish from the Chapa 2 location are critically endangered, with only a small population being observed. You may also come across this fish being referred to as Chapalichthys pardalis, but this is the Chapa 2 location, and the correct species name is pardalis. I am very fortunate to have both populations of this fish. Both sexes will top out at 3.5 inches long, and I'm currently keeping both fish in separate 29-gallon planted tanks, which seem to work out quite well. In the past, I've also kept them in 20-gallon tanks without any issues. I've found these fish to be quite hardy, as long as you understand basic aquarium care requirements. For my live bearer tanks, I normally just use sponge filters for filtration, but I also like to keep the tank heavily planted. Since I'm using these tanks for breeding purposes, I'm primarily using guppy grass, hornwort, and java moss to provide fry cover. I've found that these fish will accept a wide variety of different foods, from flake, small pellets, live, and frozen. My main diet for these fish is primarily a mix of extreme krill, extreme spirulina, and extreme slowfly flake. I found that seems to work quite well. The one thing you will need to keep in mind with these fish is the temperature. I would not let these fish get above 72 degrees for a sustained period of time, as you could risk them falling apart and lose resistance to disease. These fish do like fairly hard water and a higher pH level. My current fish room is running at a pH between 7.8 to 8.0. As far as tank mates go, I really don't see goodeids as great community fish due to their endangered nature. Goodeids can generally be aggressive, and I see the pardalis falling kind of in the middle. While there's definitely some aggression at times, they're definitely not off the chart. If you have your heart set on keeping these fish with tank mates, you could look into fish like bristlenose plecos, Variatus platies, and some of the northern clad swordtails like Xiphophorus malinche or Xiphophorus nezahuacoyotl. These fish can handle the lower temperatures that the goodeids enjoy. You could also try rainbow fish if you're keeping them in a 40-gallon breeder or larger. One thing I would caution about with keeping these fish with tank mates is you could very well hinder your fry production, since some of these fish may predate on the goodeid fry. To avoid any unwanted hybridization, you don't want to keep these with any other goodeid species. This is one goodeid species where there's not a huge level of sexual dimorphism between the males and females. The best way to sex these fish is to look at the anal fins. If there's a notch on the anal fin, then the fish will be a male, then if not, the fish will be a female. This notch is called an andropodium and serves the same reproduction function as the gonopodium in guppies and other pasillid live bearers. While they do give birth to live young, the process is a little different than your typical guppy or platy. The gestation period for the Chapalichthys is 60 days, and the females will give birth to larger but fewer fry, most of the time less than 10. While some goodeid species will breed seasonally, I've found that this fish will breed all year round. One interesting fact about goodeids is that they are attached to the mother with an umbilical cord-like structure called a trophotianae, which is very similar to humans. In my opinion, this is one of the easiest goodeid species to breed since they don't predate on fry. I would be comfortable leaving these fish in a bare tank and not worry about them eating the fry. While this is not the most common goodeid species out there, I have seen the Chapa 2 location on a fairly regular basis. I've seen them both at local club auctions and at rare live bearer specific auctions like the ones that are held at the American Live Bearer Association convention. These fish seem to be a regular participant in those types of auctions. The Chapa 1 location, however, is a lot harder to find. I was lucky enough to find these fish at the Medina County Aquarium Club in Medina, Ohio when I went there to speak, where another goodeid keeper had fish from this location. This was the only time that I had seen fish for sale from that location. With that being said, this is definitely a location that you're really going to have to hunt for. One of the most important things about all these goodeids is that you keep the location information. This is extremely important to pass on to other hobbyists and to keep these species pure for possible species reintroduction in case they become extinct in the wild. I hope that you enjoyed learning today about my favorite beginner goodeid species. These fish will breed quite readily and don't predate on fry, which makes them my favorite for your beginning goodeid keeper. If you want to learn about other goodeids, I'll go ahead and put up a playlist for care guides from all the other goodeid species that I've done. Also, in the description of this video, I'll go ahead and put a link to the Goodeid Working Group website, which is an organization that specializes in the conservation of goodeid species. So with that, thank you for watching, stay safe, stay fishy, and I'll catch you on the next video.